Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Educated Black Female Perspective. My name is Dr. Shawania Marshall, your host, and I am super excited for this episode 6 live segment titled The Doctoral Experience. On tonight, I have a phenomenal and amazing guest who I truly am proud to have on my segment. Dr. Reginald Woods. Welcome. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here and all that good stuff.
You are so welcome. Tonight, everyone, I truly have been looking forward to this segment. I know personally my doctoral journey was not something that went smooth. It was not a seamless process. So as I thought about this segment, I knew that it was something that I truly wanted to share with everyone out there who may be striving or have aspirations to obtain a bachelor's degree, master's, or a doctorate degree. And as I shared too earlier, during my post this morning, it's not even just for people who aspire to achieve a degree. If you have goals, if you have aspirations, at some point in time, all of us are going to encounter a challenge, but it is all about bouncing back. It's about focusing. It's about accomplishing and finishing the mission. So this is what this segment is truly all about. So before we get started tonight, I do want to say thank you for those who are tuning in, and thank you to those who will tune in later. And I want to share a little bit about my guests on tonight, just so you can have some insight into who Dr. Woods is. Dr. Reginald Woods is an organizational leader and an organizational manager. He helps he helps business and executive leaders unlock their full potential. Dr. Woods is the founder of the Raw Approach. And with his proven track record, he has a passion for empowering others. Dr. Woods delivers tailored consulting and coaching that drives real lasting results. Through his innovative assessments and leadership strategies, the Raw Approach bridges the gap between employees and leadership, creating strong, aligned teams that thrive. Dr. Woods brings years of hands-on experiences and insight, diving deep into topics such as approachability, emotional intelligence, and transformational leadership to reshape organizational cultures. Dr. Woods has also launched a private elite group for community members to connect, share ideas, post messages, and grow together. Dr. Woods also possesses multiple degrees, and this is important. So I do want to share that he possesses a Bachelor's of Science degree in biology, double minor, chemistry, and physics from Austin Peay State University.
Austin P.
Austin P. Thank you for correcting me. I'm sorry.
A lot of people mess that up, but it's all good.
Correct me. Oh my goodness. All right. And so he possesses a Master of Science in Public Service Management from Cumberland University. And lastly, he possesses a Doctor of Management in Organizational Leadership from the University of Phoenix. And last but not least, Dr. Reginald Woods is a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Always representing. Always representing. I don't know what the other ones do, but spring 1991, Almighty has taken out for row. Clarksville, Tennessee, Austin Peay State University representing full time. Hey, you struck a nerve right there. I'm ready.
It was that introduction. It was that introduction, you all. Set him up for the moment. So yes, I am truly proud, truly honored to have my frat brother, 34 years serving in such an amazing fraternity. one that I am truly, truly proud of to say, and proud to say that I am grateful that they are my fraternity brothers. We are the only two D9 organizations that are constitutionally bound. So with that being said, Dr. Reginald Woods, you all.
In the house. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
So welcome. You are so welcome. All right, so we're about to get down to business. We're about to speak the truth. That's why I created this platform, so we could really speak our truth. And as I shared earlier, we want to tell our story, our lived experiences while we pursued our doctorate degree from the Black female and the Black male perspective. So first question, Dr. Reginald, was what prompted you? What was it that made you have that desire to pursue a doctorate degree?
Well, I know for me, I always wanted to go and get my doctorate. But I was working with when I was with the Department of Children's Services, I had a children placement provider out of Baltimore, Maryland, that came down, and their name was Dr. and Dr. Weaver. And Dr. Weaver, the male Dr. Weaver, came to me after the meeting that we had, and with everybody in the meeting, and I was kind of astounded, like shocked, like both of them was handling their business, because we had this table of people talking about how they're gonna make them take this contract. But when they came in, everything shifted. You know what I'm saying? Everything shifted. And I'm sitting there listening to them, and Dr. Weaver stated, when everybody got through talking and everything, he said, "Hey, let me ask y'all something. Y'all sound very emotional. Everybody is speaking from their opinion. What are the facts?" He said, "I only speak in facts, truth, proven theories." And once he took that away from them, they didn't have a ground to stand on. Everything was opinionated. Him and his wife was discussing statistics, facts, and the data that they done already pulled. And so when it was all said and done, what they thought that they was going to tell Dr. Weaver and Dr. Weaver was not what happened. Dr. Weaver and Dr. Weaver walked out with a bigger contract that they were trying to cut, because they actually stood on the principles and the truth. And then when we walked out, I talked with them, and at the time, male Dr. Weaver said, Mr. Woods at the time, he said, I know we talked on the phone a couple of times. He said, "Go get your doctorate." He said, you have the knowledge. Get the power to go with the knowledge, and let's get the crumbs off the table, because you're doing the work. You are very knowledgeable. Just go get your doctorate. And there was just more motivation and confirmation, just to see how they moved and to see that outcome. And I said, I got to make this happen.
Okay. All right. So my experience was a little different. And as I kind of shared with you earlier, when I decided to pursue my doctorate, it was actually later on in life. Like I graduated, got my bachelor's, master's a few years later, but doctorate initially, when I graduated high school, was never something that I even remotely thought about. And honestly, it was never something that came to my mind. So as I experienced certain things in the field of education as an educator, I knew that the master's wasn't going to cut it. And as I've shared before, I've always had aspirations of going to law school, but I made peace with that. But I said, I can't stop at a master's. I have to be more of a powerful asset, because I knew I had the voice to advocate for students, for families, especially those who did not understand their rights, did not understand the law. And so I said, what can I do that will allow me to be a powerful asset? And then I went through my own personal experiences, where I went through a time where I was retaliated against on the job, where it was just one of the most traumatic experiences in my educational experience. And so I knew at that time I had to figure out what was going to be my next game plan. And so I looked into, okay, public policy will give me the opportunity to learn more about creating policy. But also if I decide to run for office one day, I'll have that solid foundation. And so that's why I pursued the doctorate degree in public policy and public administration. It was simply because of experiences, tragic experiences. And I wanted to make sure that I knew as much as possible as I was positioning myself for greater opportunities, but also so that I could be more of a powerful asset for our community. So
let me share this with you.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
As sad it is to say, tragic experiences, bad experiences in a job, it is sad, but those become the power of motivation for us to move ourselves to the next level. And I always say, when you go to the next level, prepare yourself. There's going to be new levels, there's new devils. You know what I'm saying? But once you have already came from that, you have prepared yourself to expect it. And you know how to move to that next level. And I'm the type person, I'm passionate about the people. And I don't like for my people to be done wrong. And that's why when I move in jobs and working in management and leading, I want to always make sure that not only are we taking care of our customer, but are the frontline workers being taken care of? Are they being treated with respect? Do they feel worthy of coming to work every day? Do they feel appreciated? And that's the raw approach.
Hey, I love it. I love it because I think sometimes people forget that part of our purpose on this earth is to serve. And if you're not looking out for the well-being of other people, I feel like you have, and everybody's different. It's just how I was raised. You know, I believe in helping, I believe in serving. And I truly feel as though when I am looking out for my people and I'm looking out for people's best interests, then my living is not in vain. So that's powerful. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So what I want to ask you next, as you work towards pursuing your doctorate, I know you talked about the people that had an impact on confirming some things. Share with us, what was your doctoral journey like? What was the experience like?
Oh, well, this is one I like to share. Let me first say, when I originally went into the program, my goal was probably to be like everybody else, to finish within 3 to 5 years. That was my goal. When I went to my first year residency, one of the professors that was speaking to the group as a whole, and he said something that became so prolific that I continued to share with people in the program, is that he said that when you are in this situation, one thing it's going to tell you about the relationships that you are in, because it's going to require time that you do not have to give like you did prior. So he said, if you're in a rocky relationship, if you're in a marriage that's borderline, you one thing or two are going to give. Either the relationship is going to give, or you're going to give up doing your doctoral program, because you have to have collaboration. Everybody has to be on the page and understand that it is not I'm going back to school, it's we going back to school, including the kids, because there's sacrifices that you got to give up with late night studying and learning how to reprogram yourself, because the education process as a doctoral learner is totally different than all the 12 years and then your undergrad and your master's way of learning and teaching. Because, you know, you can do some papers on the undergrad level and even go to your where you can put your opinions and your thought in it. But doctoral level, you don't have a thought. Your opinion does not matter, and it better not be in that paper. It's all about 100% research. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, and I'm grateful to share with people, you know, with life occurrences, which people go through. It took me 14 years to finish my process. And I had Dr. Tammy Stewart on my show in May. And one of the things that I always like to share with people, and she shared with the audience, is a delay is not a denial.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? A delay is not a denial.
Amen.
You know, it's just one of them things. It's just not right now. But if you passionate about it, continue to work and trust the process, it's gonna happen. It's just not you just didn't finish it in the 3 years that you've done. One of the first thing upon me finishing, and one of my first customers I had was a lady that reached out to me. She's going on her 9th year, trying to get in and trying to get her dissertation and everything to line up through a quantitative study. And one of her team members on her research, her dissertation team, I think they was all qualitative. And they pretty much, the chair said, hey, this is what you need to do. Go out there and find some dissertation that had just finished and reach out to them, see if they can give you, whoever that is, they can give you advice. And you might have to do some contracting to really get you to that next level. Because, I mean, you done did 9 years, things keep changing, processes keep changing. And that was one of my first students that I began to consult with, because she was from, I think she was from Ghana. And she reached out to me, and I listened to her frustration and everything. And I told her, I said, hey, you just part of everybody else that's going through this process. Don't get frustrated. Continue to work through, and this is what I can do to help you with, and we'll go from there. And so my thing is the whole process as a whole is a journey I wouldn't change for nobody, because it's my journey. And I tell everybody, own your journey. You know, with anything that we do, stand on it, stand in it, stand with it. No matter what that process look like. Yours may not look like 14 years. Some people 15, 16, some people 10, some people 5. You got some people that done it 2.5. I'm proud of you. But that's your journey. You know what I'm saying? And you stand on it. Stand on it, stand in it, stand with it.
You know, it's ironic you said that, because when I think about the word journey, that's something that I oftentimes use. My journey is my journey, just like yours is your journey. And we have to learn not to compare ourselves to other people. And because when you start doing that, that's where you really start running into problems, and where you really start thinking negative, feeling as though, well, this person did it in this amount of time and I didn't, maybe I should just stop. But people, that is so important. Your journey, your journey is your story. It is your own journey. And you shared something about sacrifice. When I actually got to the point where I was at my dissertation stage, when you talk about sacrificing, I literally, at that moment, there were some things health-wise that I was dealing with, but I looked at my plate and I said, okay, if it's not in your top 3, if it is not in your top 3 priorities, let it go. And I'll share this because I believe in your testimony and being truthful and honest. At that time, I realized that I was trying to build my brand. So I knew that my brand was my priority. I also knew that my health was my priority. And I also knew that this dissertation, and so when I go back for health, I mean mental and spiritual. So my walk with God, my physical, that was my second priority. And then the third was finishing this PhD. So when I looked at my top 3, and you know I love my Zeta Phi Beta sorority, Zeta came in number 4. And I had to reach out to my grad chapters, and I shared this with the president at the time. And I said, look, right now, this is where I'm at in my life. And I am going to have to step back.
That's okay.
Because my priority and my top 3 in the order is this, this, and this. And I'll be back when I finish. And that was around at the end of 2021, I believe. And so I said my goal was to finish my dissertation in 1 year. So I went through that whole year of 2022, and going into 2020, well, take that back. Sorry, fast forward. That had to be the end of 2022. So I went that whole year of 2023 working on my dissertation and then finishing up in February 2024. But I realized when we talk about sacrifices, and I'll tell people, like, you have to prioritize. If you're not prioritizing things that are important in your life and you're adding things on your plate that you can't manage, then that is a problem. And so I share that to say, like, I love all of my organizations that we're a part of, but I had to step back from my sorority, and I also stepped back from my education organization that I love, because I realized these are the three major things right now in my life that I have to knock out. And as soon as I finished in February 2024, I reached out to my grad chapters, my bosses. I said, I'm coming back, and I came back. So I say that to say we have to learn how to prioritize, and it's okay. You can't worry about what people have to say, because I promise you this: whatever is your goal, whatever is on your plate, nobody else is going to finish it for you. You have to do it. So that was so
you finished in February of 2024,
mm-hmm.
and I did April 19th, 2024.
And so I'm going to say this right now. I'm glad you said that. So for everybody out there, I want to add, because this was going to be something I had planned to share later. So funny story how Dr. Woods and I met. And this is what I love about the Blue and White family. I didn't even know Dr. Woods, but in the year 2024, we were both celebrating on social media. We were congratulating ourselves. We were celebrating ourselves. And as I'm looking on social media, I see this post, I see this guy celebrating his graduation, and I'm listening to the music, because music gets me first. So I'm hearing the music and I see all these beautiful pictures, and then I see this royal blue and white. And of course, I was tuned in. And once I saw it, the first thing I said, because I believe in celebrating each other, correct, I had to message. I said, congratulations, Fred. I was like, this is so exciting. And I will share with him how proud I was, because I had just finished too. And then after I said congratulations, I messaged him and said, and I'm going to steal that song. We didn't even know each other. But this, and I have to share this, because this is what I love about the Blue and White family. When I came in, I was brought in a certain way. And when I became a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, it was a certain way that people brought me in. And I always took that with me. So even though Dr. Woods and I didn't know each other, I was not afraid to reach out and say, hey, Fred, congratulations. I'm proud of you. And then we connected immediately, not even knowing each other. And it's just something about when you truly take your sisterhood and brotherhood to heart and you value it, you're going to reciprocate that same love and just excitement that was shown to you. And so I immediately sent that to him, and we connected ever since. So, I appreciate you sharing what you did share, because you also, I wanted to add that last piece you talked about, mentoring. When I went through my experience, there were people who were in residencies with me. So we were able to connect with people.
Correct.
I'll never forget, there was this one guy that reached out to me after he saw I had finished, and he would email me. He would ask, could you share this with me? And we connected. It was like maybe 4 of us. We made sure that we would stay connected. So as we went on our journey trying to finish, if we ever needed help, if we ever needed someone to complete a survey or some type of support, we vowed that we would support each other. And so I'll never forget having him reaching out multiple times and wanting to talk to me. And he would share with me how he had a bad experience with his chair. And I just tried to be a source of motivation, a source of encouragement, because if you are trying to pursue your doctorate, there are going to be some times where you may encounter some obstacles. And that was part of what I shared.
It's going to come.
It's definitely going to come.
And the bad part about it, sometimes you're going to feel it's personal. It's a personal attack. I mean, let's be real. I'm sure we all be like, man. And then when you go back and you reflect, you're like, man, this don't make sense.
Well, I'm glad you shared that, because there was one incident, and I want to share this with people. When I was working on my dissertation, and this is how sometimes we can have a misconception about people. Yes. Now, my dissertation topic was one that I knew that would be somewhat controversial, if if the wrong person looked at it, they might get a little offended. I'm passionate about certain things, and I knew my topic was going to be centered around something that I felt like would bring light to a major issue. And my dissertation topic was focused on the lived experiences of African American females when they seek leadership in elementary and secondary education. So my first mindset was, okay, I got to find a chair that looks like me.
Let me say this before I get off topic. I like what you said. I'm instantly thinking there's a couple of other doctors that have degrees in doctoral degrees in the same thing that you're doing. I'm instantly thinking about getting all 2 or 3 of y'all together and doing a show with y'all, but we're going to reach out to that.
All right, do that. So with that being said, I had this misconception that, okay, I'm going to get, or I will need someone that looks like me because surely they can relate to my experiences. And then I'll have a smooth path as I'm working on my dissertation. Well, little did I know God was
that don't necessarily work like that.
Because I was fortunate. I found this African American female that worked with the university, and I said, I'm going to seek her out. I saw her background. I sought her out. She agreed to be my dissertation chair. Well, making a long story short, through that experience, and I'm a timely person. Like I said, my goal was a year. I was like, I'm going to be done in a year. This particular chair dragged her feet when I would submit my drafts. And that was a big thing for me. If you're delaying reviewing my drafts, guess what? That's delaying my time on finishing. And it just kept happening over and over again. And so I just had got to the point, because I'm a person that I'm very effective on communication. I reach out to her, and it just kept being repetitive. So through that experience, unfortunately, and this is something like Dr. Woods and I are saying, you may have to advocate for yourself, because at that point I had to reach out to the powers that be that were over her and say, hey, I need to request a new chair. This is what's going on. And fortunately, this is how powerful the residencies were for me. I remembered this guy that was in one of my residencies, and he was Caucasian. He was a Caucasian white guy, but he was so nice. Every time we had our residencies, he just had that calm tone. He just always seemed very empathetic to people when they would talk, regardless of whatever topic they had. I emailed him. He said, send me your topic. Tell me what you want to do. Tell me your timeline. He responded back and said, I love this topic. He said, this topic is so amazing. He said, I had a previous student with a similar topic. He said, Shawania, he said, yes, I would love to be your chair. Ask me, did I not have a good experience? When I tell you Dr. Gary Kelsey will forever be dear to my heart, I will always hold a special place for Dr. Gary Kelsey. That was by far the best experience. So I say that to say to those of you out there, don't have these preconceived notions about thinking sometimes. And I'm not saying that will happen to you, but sometimes we get so wrapped up in who we want because we think it's going to be somebody that will have our best interests at heart, or they'll be a better fit. But I was totally shocked. I had the total opposite and a wonderful experience.
That's good. I know for me, I think my chair switched about 3-4 times. And it's just because of the timing. And, I really, as I talk with them in my committee, and I told them, hey, I understand. I mean, I don't know when I'm coming back. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get done. So when I would have one good committee, and then things would go on, then they would reach out to me, when are you coming back? And I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so they were like, then within about a couple of days, you see committee member drop. And my thing is, I told them, I get it. I understand it. I understand that at the end of the day, it's a business. It's still a business. Mm-hmm. And if you holding on to a spot, they can't make money, or they can't help move somebody else. And I get it. I mean, it's just all about being real and genuine and understand the process. Just because I wasn't moving, it shouldn't hinder somebody else from moving forward.
Right. That's true. All right. So my next question for you, what would you share as advice for someone who's contemplating, they're kind of on the fence, and they're thinking about, okay, I want to pursue the PhD or the doctorate, but I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I can make this work. What advice would you share for someone like that? That's just unsure?
I have this conversation with a lot of people, and I tell them all the time, it has to be something that you want. If you're on the fence, you're not going to finish. You're not going to finish. You're not going to put the time in. It has to be something at the end of the day, no matter what it's going to take, you're going to make it happen. And I say this is because you know how people talk about their cohorts that they came in with. And like I said, my cohorts that I came in with, I was the only one to finish 14 years later. And people came out, they when I finished, because I posted it everywhere. And they came and they said, hey, you put us in a situation that I want to go back and finish. Because now I know someone that finished, and it gives more weight to the situation.
I like that.
So I tell them, make sure it's what you want.
You're right. And that's with anything in life, as we were talking about earlier, even if whether it is a PhD or whether it's a doctor, whichever one you decide to pursue, even if you're on the fence about, okay, having aspirations about pursuing or elevating in your career, that is something that you have to want. And as you were talking, I was thinking about myself personally. When I finished my PhD, I was like, I'm done. This is it. I'm not doing anything else. But this summer, just with some things that have been going on personally in my life, I realized, okay, yeah, Shawania, you said you're done. I'm not trying to go back to anybody else's school, but I'm sitting here thinking, how can I maximize where I'm at right now in my life, in my career, to put myself in an even better place? And it's something that I want to do. So for anyone out there, whether it is the degree or whether it's on the job, and you can do more, you can do better, you want better. And I was looking long term, because I'm thinking, yeah, I'm 47 now, but 10 years from now, where do I want to be? What pay bracket do I want to be in? When I retire, where do I want to be? But also when I think about, if God allows me to live to see the next few years, do you just want to stay where you are? And I don't, because I know I have so much more to give. So think about things like that too. When even if it's outside the degree, like, do you truly know that you have the potential to be further than where you are, or to do more? So that is so important. So moving on, what I want to ask you next. So as you got to the point where you actually were at your dissertation, what was that feeling? What was that moment like? Because you got to finish all the classes. You can't get to the dissertation until you finish the classes. When you finally reached that point, what was that feeling like for you?
Well, my thing is, I knocked out the classes pretty quick, but begin to that dissertation part, trying to find the information, the background history, the literature, and everything that goes with it. It really enlightened me more, because I had to do some more in-depth studying. And then I tell people is that I value the time that it took me, because my style of writing changed and changed and changed, and it became more in depth over and over and over. So when I was done, even in the dissertation process, when the committee was sitting there and we went through, and they say it should be about 30 minutes at the most, and we go through it, and one of the chairs, Dr. Navajo, I pray that he don't get me for mess up his name, Navarro, one of them, good guy. And while we was going through the question and answering stage, he began to, do the defense. He said, Mr. Woods, let me ask you something. He said, we done everything that we need to ask you about your situation. He said, but this topic is very interesting to me. And we went through another 20 minutes of him just asking questions for himself. But for me, it was more enlightening because I really had the ownership of the background information, the future information, the goal that I want to do with, what was the expectation with the information, how do I expect to disseminate the information, how do I expect to use the information to move forward and use it to go and lead. And it's surprisingly, when I was going through that process, where somebody said, oh, I would have been pissed off if somebody done me like that. But it really catapulted me to a whole nother level and open my mind up bigger and deeper to say, you done this work. Now go make changes. Go make changes. That's what this is all about. You are in this situation. We go to get the doctorate, not to continue to do the same old thing, but to make changes somewhere with somebody and to impact an organization, to impact people, or to impact the community. You know, if you're just doing the same old thing, then you got to ask yourself, what was the purpose of getting this?
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. The pay increase that I got was good. But however, it was bigger than that for me. And I'm glad you said that, because for me, I knew that I wanted to, like I said earlier, be able to be more of a powerful asset. So one of the things that my chair asked me the day after I defended, he said, Shawana, well, what are you going to do? And I shared with him my aspirations of, doing this, whether it's running for office, but also, seeking a job in government that would allow me the opportunity to just be able to make more of an impact in, at the state, local, whatever level. And so, but he said to me, Shawana, you can also focus on finding and seeking out opportunities to share your dissertation so you can tell your story. And through that part, as I would look for opportunities to share my proposal, I also thought about at that moment, I don't have to wait on somebody to say, oh, I'm going to approve her proposal so I can bring her on so she can speak. I said I will create my own platform while I'm waiting to hopefully hear back from someone. So that's another reason too, this platform was created, because I realized it gives me the opportunity to continue telling my story, because he truly said the same thing that your professor said. He said to me, you don't just leave it here. This is not the end of it. You have to tell your story. You have to put it out there. So through any segment that I talk about, it's always in some form or fashion giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about my story, giving me that voice, giving me the platform and the opportunity to share about my dissertation or why I did it. So that is so true and so powerful. So what I want to ask you next, kind of moving on, did you ever go through an experience where you felt as though there was somebody, whether it was a chair or whether it was a professor, may have become more of a hindrance or an obstacle, or you felt as though they didn't have that positive mindset that you had about what you were trying to accomplish? Did you ever experience any challenge like that or obstacle?
I'm going to have to say I did not, because life was hitting me to the point that I really couldn't focus on whether or not they was being negative or not. There was a lot of stuff that I would talk about. Some people already know that I would talk about, from the death of my son, divorce, from just going on to other things. There's a lot of stuff. Working a job. I've been in working with kids for 27 years, from group homes to residential, the detention center, the facility lockdown, anybody that's been in those jobs take a lot of your time. And I mean, it's nothing to be there 60, 80 hours a week. Because you constantly moving, gotta make sure people safe, make sure your people, your employees are safe, as well, making sure the kids are safe. So it takes a lot. But I tell people, I signed up for it and I owned it. I'm gonna go back to it, stand in it, stand with it, and stand on it. You know what I'm saying? So really, a lot of that time, I didn't even have focus to even know if they was being negative.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't even have enough time to know if they was being negative or not. You know what I'm saying? And so in that situation, like when we went to the graduation ceremony, my brother's fiance told me, she said, I didn't even know you was in school. And I told her, I said, because I'm the type of person, I just move with silence. You know what I'm saying? I don't make a big hoopla about things. My thing is, when I get done, you know. And what was so funny, one of my high school friends, Steve Fuller, I'm gonna put his name out there, Steve Fuller, he reached out to me a little bit after I finished, and he too said, man, I didn't know you was working on your doctorate. You know what I'm saying? He said, I didn't know you even had your damn master's. And he said, but one thing, he said, one thing I like about you is you, even in high school, you've always moved the way you move. Ain't nothing changed about that. He said, but the thing was, when you put it out there, you put it out there. And he said, man, what I like about you, you would never move with other people's confirmation.
Yes.
You would never move with other people's approval. You would never move in the way that you had to have that person smack you on the back and say good job. And that has never been me. But I tell people that don't mean that somebody else don't need that. It's just never been a thing that I needed. You know what I'm saying? I've never been one to boast, brag. Just like, you know, we talked about, you know, you was reading my bio. And the first thing I told you, you don't have to go through that. And even when I go to churches and preach, and they were like, well, give me something that we can tell you. I said, well, just tell them I'm here to preach. You don't need to give them nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to preach.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to say this because, you know, I truly think that it's important. I always love being in the presence of like-minded people. And one of the things I was sharing with Dr. Woods that I've seen clips of his because we are connected on social media. So I'm always checking out, see what's going on, you know, giving shout outs, And I noticed that he was actually preaching. And I said, I didn't know you were a minister. I was like, I got to acknowledge that in your bio because to me, you know, and it's nothing that, like he said, you have to acknowledge because people truly are going to see through your actions, through the light that shines in you, who you are as a person. But to me, I like meeting like-minded people and people that know me know I like to be connected with people who are kind of walking that same path because that's what keeps you uplifted and what keeps you motivated when you're in the circle of people that are, you know, people that are walking in the same path that you are. So go ahead. I didn't mean to interject, but I just
that was it. My thing is I just wanted to move. Just, you know, upon completion, you'll hear about it. And that's one thing you identified. And I think we also talked about, you know, sometimes you have people that's not for you. And you're going to find that in life, not only with working on a doctorate or finishing school, no matter what level, you're going to find that as you move up in your job, you know, you're going to find that you're going to have people that don't like how you move. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, I tell people it's okay. You don't have to like it. You obviously respect it. If you hating on it, obviously you respecting it. And I tell people is sometimes you got to prepare yourself that as you moving in life and you going on a trajectory where you want to go, prepare yourself for haters. And even in the business world, you're gonna have people that don't want you to move too far than they are. And they're gonna begin to come up with some lies. They're gonna begin to come up with all types of stuff in order to either watch you fall. And even if you not successful at that job, don't mean that you're gonna necessarily have a fall. You just may not be at that job long, but watch me when I move up on this next level. And that's how you gotta always be prepared to move, because people sometimes, what's the old saying? Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. You know, no matter what you do. But always move and remember, no matter what you do, as you move to new levels, there's new devils, and you got to keep trusting the process.
Wow, isn't that something? That's a point to stick a pin in as you move at different levels. There's new devils. You know, when you were talking, I literally thought about one thing that you said was you didn't tell anybody, and I didn't either because I felt like for me this was personal. This was about me.
Personal. Yes.
So as I pursued my doctorate, like as I got closer, there may have been like my mom, and I will say my mom because I pretty much share a lot with her, especially when it comes down to my goals and dreams. So she knew, but pretty much a lot of the people around me didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so it was that moment of when I was done, I was done. But to me, it's not about that I need approval from someone else or affirmation. I was doing this for me. And one thing that you said too that I have learned, everybody is not going to celebrate you. And see, I'm just different. Like I was raised different. So I love seeing people excel. I love seeing people accomplish things that they have worked hard for. So I'm celebrating you. I'm excited for you. But one thing I learned when I finished mine, it was like people that I thought that would have been happy for me, the love, the celebratory, like excitement that I would have showed them, I didn't get that from some of the people that I thought would have showed it to me. And I'll be honest, it didn't matter about some people, but people that were closest to me, it did bother me. But what I had to remember was it's not about them. It's about you. But it also showed me how to move with them. Mm-hmm. It showed me how to operate with them as I move forward in my life. And once I realized that, Shawania, it's okay. They don't have to celebrate you because guess what? You did this. They didn't. Right. This was your personal goal. This was your accomplishment. And when I tell you through that, I celebrated, I acknowledged myself because I was like, this is a major milestone. I am the first grandchild on my mom's side. When I think about my grandparents on my mom's side, I'm the first to actually finish. Actually, I was the first to actually get my master's and my PhD. And so it's like, not that I'm saying, oh, that's something to brag about, but I'm proud of that. Like my grandparents worked hard. Like I saw them do the best that they can to make sure that we had everything we had. And so for me to look back and say, I did this and I am the grandchild of Mr. and Mrs., that is a proud moment for me. And
I'm with you with that.
Yeah. And I'm acknowledging that. And so for me, yeah, I celebrated myself and I literally put to the side. I don't care whether you minimize my occasion or whether you acknowledge it or not, because guess what? I'm still Dr. Shawania Marshall. Right. I'm still Dr. Shawania Marshall, whether you like it or love it. Guess what? It's not going to change.
You can't take it away. And in that celebration, man, one thing that I tell people all the time, you look on my pictures and stuff that I posted. One of the things that I was very involved in was the family support, the family celebration. My mom and my aunties, and if anybody know my family, that they gonna cook. They gonna do some cooking. And so they did something a little bit different. We did a big old brunch celebration they did for me and everything. And it was a wonderful occasion where family can be there and we had a good time. And me and a couple of brothers, we had a celebration at another spot. Then we had another celebration with friends. I mean, I celebrated almost that whole month like it was my birthday. Then my birthday came around, so the celebration never ends. So the thing is, people that's going to celebrate with you and for you, they're going to be there for you. Those that's not, hey, it's okay too. Hey, much love for you, and I wish people continued success on their endeavor. Just because you hate on me don't mean I got the energy to hate on you.
Exactly. And I will say I was blessed. I had a small get together here, with my small intimate setting with some of my close friends and sorors. And when I tell you that moment that night, and I truly have to give a shout out to them because, they carved out the time to celebrate that moment with me. When I tell you it was so emotional that night, and people don't know the leading up until the day that I had it, I actually went through something health-wise and it impacted my face. And so when I tell you I was devastated because of the health issue that happened to me, and I'm like, I knew something was wrong. I was like, something is off. And I share this to say, because when we talk about challenges, obstacles, testimonies, I have a right to celebrate. When I tell you I celebrated, but I was also thanking God because I had just come off completing this. And then I'm trying to celebrate because I'm proud of myself. And then all of a sudden something hits me where it affects my smile. And I'm going to the doctor trying to figure out, like, God, what is wrong with me? So I say that to say, even if this this doesn't happen to someone else. When Dr. Woods is talking about celebrating, when I talk about it, I'm talking about it because when I think about my life, what I accomplished, what I went through at that moment that a lot of people don't know about. And when I got through it, because I was worried, like, God, will I get my smile back? And all of this was happening after I finished my degree. So when I was celebrating, when I was thanking God, when I still thank God, you don't know my story. Right. So you're right. When we're celebrating, we're happy about our moments. You don't know, people don't know what you went through to get there. And there was not any moment of time that somebody could have told me that this was going to happen, because it caught me totally off guard. So it's part of why I thank God the way I do. It's why I praise God the way I do, because you don't know what I went through to get to this point, and things that you think you got under control. My mom always would say, you think you got it under control until something happens. And I never thought that, okay, and I never thought that I was stressed, because when I was writing my dissertation, it was just coming. I was doing the research because it was something I was passionate about. Right. Sometimes we can be so caught up in doing things that we're trying to do, things can hit you medically and catch you off guard. So when you're going through that, that was a challenge for me. So as I talked about challenges, that was a major challenge after the fact. But for me, it was like, I felt like it was something that as I was working on my doctorate or my dissertation, it was something that was building up, that all of a sudden when I finished, it kind of hit me. But I am grateful that I finished. I'm glad that God got me through it. And yes, I celebrated, and I still celebrate it.
And that's a good thing. And, you know, it's this is not cliche. It's very true. And you hear it in the churches all the time, is you see the glory, but you don't know the story. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know the story that go with it. And you hear people say, boy, if I had your shoe, I would cut my foot off. No, you better be careful, because you might cut them both off, because you really don't know what this came with. And I tell people that's with anything in life. Don't automatically see somebody else's story. I mean, they glory, and automatically think, man, I wish that was me. No, you really don't know what pain, obstacles, and valleys that person had to go through to come on the other side of that situation. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to realize, if you just put yourself back in your space and say, I got to do what's for me, and that's it. I got to follow my journey. That's it. And go from there.
Amen. All right. So I only got a few more questions that I want to ask you. So, one thing that I noticed when I finished, I started to see and hear more about these honorary doctorates. So tell me what you're, so we're kind of shifting from, to another side of the whole doctorate. What's your perspective now that you finished, you have it, you earned it? What is your take on when you see people who have these honorary doctorates, when they share it, and then when they put doctor in front of their name? How do you feel about it?
My thing is, you are honorary doctor. That doesn't bother me. But you didn't do no work. You just an honorary. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really get in that personal. That's not my dog to fight, my battle to fight. But if you're a great humanitarian, you out there doing things, and somebody honor you for the work you do in the community, hey, good job, keep doing what you're doing. But just from my perspective, there's a lot of people that put work in and doing the research, and you really can't go get a job with that, depending on at a university, because there's no research to go with it. So that doesn't bother me.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing. The only issue that I have with it is, well, first of all, I fault the university, because either they did not clearly explain to the person, because there's a process, because I kind of did my own research on, like, how does this work? The university has to do a better job, all universities that give these honorary doctors, of explaining, hey, you are recognized with this honorary doctorate. However, you cannot put doctor in front of your name. It's fine. Like, I get what you're saying, great humanitarian knowledge, but there is that one stipulation. And I'm not saying that all of them don't do it, because once that person gets that award, it's up to them to choose how they try to proceed with it. But I have seen people that put that title doctor in front of their name. And the only part for me, I would like for people to understand, there is the difference. Like, for me, I do a lot of community service. I do a lot of things that deal with donating, help the community. But I also have earned the right to be called Dr. Marshall because I put the work in. And so for me, it's just, and to me, it's like with anything in life, I'm not going to put anything to my name or associate anything with my name that I didn't earn, that I know truly I should not be tagging on to my name. And that's just, that's just how I am. It's almost like, and I'm just kind of using this example. If I were to say, prophetess, or call myself, a pastor or a minister, I don't, because I'm not. But what I will say is, yes, I serve God, and I will quote scripture, and I will talk about the Lord and how good he is to me, and I will testify. But we're people that love God and serve God and honor God. You're going to do that. But I use that as an example. That's almost like me putting that title by my name that I'm not. But anyway, I just wanted to ask, because I see that a lot. And to me, it's just one of those things that it's just a sign of respect. And so, but I know we can't stop people from doing it. It's totally on them. So
I have a friend, Latasha. She got her honorary degree, I think, about 2 years ago. And one thing that she talked about a month later, she said, they putting this doctor in front of their name. Then she said, you ain't. Yeah. She said, now she accepted it for doing, God's work in the community, doing all this stuff. She said, but you don't put that in front of your name. But these people out there putting in front of their name, I told her the same thing. That's not your dog to fight. That's not your battle.
Well, I appreciate her stepping in and doing it now.
Yeah. I mean, but she didn't. It's not like she going to them and tell them you can't do that. Right. But that falls upon the university, the school, or whoever that is doing that to explain that to them. And I mean, it can be a move that you can do, but at the same day, I just feel that that's just not a dog for me to fight. And they realize in due time. Right. You cannot do any work with that because there's no research to come with it. Right. So you can't go in somebody's school, talk about you want to be upon a dissertation committee, and then they were like, "Well, show me your latest publication." Yeah, show me your latest publication. They were like, "What publication?" You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about that.
That's true. All right then. All right. So I wanted to ask you, so when you finished, and everybody's different. So when you finished, when you went to work, went back, on the job, or just when people were interacting with you, did you prefer being addressed Dr. Woods? Did it matter to you? Was that a big thing? Or did people have a problem saying it? Like, just tell me.
Actually, my director at the time made people say, "Hold on, he don't earn this. This is Dr. Woods." She put it out there, and because in the industry that I was in, there wasn't too many doctors, in the healthcare, besides being a medical doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And one of the things that they talked about is it can be confusing to the patients. Because when they hear doctor, they automatically think medical doctor, and they not necessarily, look. And I didn't have a problem with that because it makes sense, because when you're dealing with people that are going through catatonic stages and stuff like that, they want to make sure that they get the treatment and stuff like that. But when we had meetings and conventions and people coming in from other states for a conference that we had, then yes, it was Dr. Woods and stuff like that. I really don't have a problem with it, but sometimes I'll be like, do you have an issue? They'll be like, what do you prefer to be called? Dr. Woods?
Look, when I went back to work, it was, and so in our county, this is like countywide, people call everyone by their first name. Now that was a shock for me because, you know, I'm from Alabama. I'm old school too. Like, I'm calling you Mr. Mrs. So when I finished, of course, people were still calling me Shawana. And, you know, there were some people in my department, and it's only because it's something about when you know, when you want to show that respect for people, it's going to come easy for you. You're going to naturally say a doctor. So pretty much the people that look like me, they did. Now, what I will say is, after the presidential election last year and just how things shifted in our country, for me, and I'll be honest, this was a moment for me where I got to a place where I said, God, you know, I can't control that they don't want to, you know, implement DEI initiatives anymore. I can't control that they want to talk about equity. And so it was a moment for me where I really got to a place when I thought about everything that was going on in our country. And so it was really deeper than just the title for me. I said, well, I can't control this. I can't control the companies want to, you know, roll back DEI initiatives. They don't want to talk about things. And so my dissertation, remember, centered around things that tied into diversity, equity, and inclusion. So for me, I was thinking about, wait a minute, I've worked too hard to complete this degree, and now I'm rolling into the year after, and they're rolling back and turning back the hands of times on things that I feel passionate about. And for me at that moment, I went to my coordinator and I said, and I won't say her name, but I said, you know, I need to talk to you. I said, this is how I feel in this moment. And I said, this is how I'm feeling about the situation and circumstances in our current state. And I said, it will make me feel better to be addressed as Dr. Marshall versus my first name. And she said, Shawana, I don't blame you. She said, I don't have a problem with that. And she said, I would definitely call you that. And honestly, at that point, everybody was made aware, because even though I told her not to say it to anybody else, I said, I will let everybody in the department know, you know, I would like to be addressed by Dr. Marshall. She had already did it for me. So I didn't even have to tell people, but I was proud of that because it was something that I had to do for me, because for me, it was already weighing me down. Like when I tell you, it was just the moment for me, the current state was already heavy. It was a heavy moment for me after last year's election. So I was like, okay, I can't take away that people are doing this in our country, but I can ask people to call me by my name, Dr. Shawania Marshall, Dr. Marshall, because I've earned that. You can't take away my education. You can take away anything else that I don't have control over. But one thing you can't take away from me is my education. And so
education is the one thing you cannot buy.
Exactly. So that is why for me and my office on the job, I did ask people to, you know, call me by my title.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're at the end, and so I do want to say, Dr. Reginald Woods, thank you so much for tag teaming, collaborating with me on the Educated Black Female Perspective. Thank you to those who tuned in and those who will watch later. I hope and I pray that something that Dr. Woods and I may have said could be a source of inspiration or motivation to you. Just focus on your goals. Stay the course. When challenges and obstacles arise, you got to reassess the situation. If you got to figure out another game plan, do it. Do whatever you need to do to finish the mission. You want to complete the mission and you'll be proud. And so we have basically shared with you like our testimonies, our experiences, because it's not anything in life. The reality is it's not always going to be easy, but at the end, when you're done, it's all worth it. So Dr. Woods, before we go ahead and close out, is there anything that you want to share?
Tune in to the Raw Approach.
In this like a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Go ahead.
Tune into the Raw Approach. I'm on every social media sites that's out there. I'm even on Fanbase. Go out there, check it out, listen to the content. And just remember, man, no matter what goes on, hey, trust the process. And remember, small victories lead to greater success. I am Dr. Woods with the Raw Approach. Peace out from me.
Thank you, Dr. Woods. Now, see, that's just like a frat brother to take over everything.
I gave it back to you.
He did. He tossed it back. So I'm going to take it. So thank you all again. I truly, I am so truly appreciative, Dr. Woods. Thank you so much. You share a lot of great information that people can
Thank you
take
for having me.
I knew when I reached out to you, when you said yes, I already knew that it was going to be phenomenal and amazing. So I'm truly grateful. Well, everybody have a great night. Have a blessed week. And if you would check out Dr. Woods on the Raw Approach. And I'll continue to share on my platform as I continue to have other upcoming segments. And I truly thank you for your support, because at the end of the day, we're all out here just trying to serve, help, and just make our world a better place. Dr. Marshall loves you, and be blessed.
Blue Faye! You know.
You know.
Peace out.